Tonight on Straight Talk, Portland's new city administrator sits down for his first TV interview, stepping into a brand new system at a critical moment for the Rose City.
That's one of the key things for me is how am I bringing these different branches of government together.
Raymond Lee on what he's walking into and how he plans to build trust as Portland navigates big challenges and even bigger expectations.
The number one thing that we have to strive for as a government agency is transparency.
Plus, a Portland-based humanitarian leader prepares for a major change, rethinking its identity as global need reaches new heights.
Our name was really increasingly at odds with our values.
Why the organization says this moment demands something different. Ahead on Straight Talk. Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Tim Gordon. It's been more than a year now since Portland officially transitioned to a new form of government, overhauling how the city operates and how decisions are made. The new system established 4 districts with 3 city councilors elected to represent each, expanding the council to 12 members and introduced ranked choice voting as well. It also placed day-to-day oversight of city services in the hands of the mayor and a city administrator who coordinates operations across the city's bureaus. Raymond Lee took over as city administrator in December. He came to Portland with about 2 decades of municipal leadership experience, including a tenure as city manager in Greeley, Colorado, and senior city leadership roles in Dallas and Amarillo, Texas. Raymond Lee, thanks so much for joining us here on Straight Talk. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. I'm actually glad I got the invite.
Well, we're really glad to have you here. So let's get right to it. First up, you've been here for a few months now.
Yes.
How's it going? How's the job going?
It's going well. You know, sometimes I feel like the 2 months I've been here seems like 2 years with the amount of activity and things that we've been addressing as a city, but it's been very positive. The people in the community have been great. The employees of the organization have been phenomenal, and seeing that the dedication that they have to truly see the city move forward. So those combination of things have been really positive for this transition for me.
Great impression after 2 months.
Yes.
So what do you see that you like that really seems to be working here in Portland city government?
You know, I see a community that is truly dedicated to truly seeing this city reach its full potential. Not often do you be able to see cities that say, hey, we're not liking the way things are going and we want to make a change. A lot of times people in situations like that may just complain about the things that they see or want to see improved within a city. Very few actually put things in place to say we can be better as an organization or as a community. So that has been a real positive thing for me in the change, and really seeing people who have been dedicated to seeing positive changes happen, not only within our organization, but how we deliver services to the community and how the community is being receptive to those changes has been very core to the type of changes we want to see overall.
That's terrific. What stands out to you, though, as maybe not so good, where you see improvements needed?
You know, I think what we've been challenged with really is that change management, that transformation from a commissioner-based form of government to a mayor, administrator, council form of government, and really just figuring out what our lanes are, how do we move things forward, how do we build that rhythm within the organization to truly bring about the change that people had voted on when they voted for this change of government.
Yeah, because it is still relatively new. And, you know, let's talk about it. This is a new form of government. I think people see it as meant to be more responsive, maybe more diverse as well, with a dozen councilors representing their districts and a mayor's executive with their own agenda, bringing the big picture, you could say. Mm-hmm. And all their demands fall on this third branch of government, which is you, sir.
Yes.
How do you manage that in a balanced way? How do you keep everyone satisfied, making sure that the mayor is getting what he needs, but this large council is also being served?
You know, it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act in how we communicate. What are the things that we really truly say are priorities for us as an organization, and making sure that I'm creating the environment for those conversations to happen, and making sure that I'm being very communicative to our organization regarding what those priorities and what that North Star is for the organization. And I think that's one of the key things for me is how am I bringing these different branches of government together in the same direction so we can get some things accomplished within our organization that have a benefit to the community.
Have you worked in this form of government before?
You know, Portland is unique in this situation.
Not many governments have this, right?
Yeah, not many governments have this form of government the way that we have it. So this is a case study to a large degree to see how this actually works. And we're learning on the fly a lot of times with how we will maneuver certain things or how we will communicate certain things. And where does that responsibility really lie within our form of government? So this is a conversation that is constantly happening with our group to try to figure out our paths and what is that dichotomy of government for us.
I'm sure this is something you've been thinking about prior to getting here and in the first few months. What are you seeing? What are you learning so far? What seem to be the biggest challenges there?
You know, some of the challenges that we're facing are a lot of challenges that a lot of communities are facing. How are we addressing the unhoused population within our community? How are we ensure that our streets and our communities are safe and secure? You know, how are we handling affordability issues, aging infrastructure issues within our community, and how are we overall enhancing the quality of life within our community? And, you know, we took the first step in really trying to address those issues by first identifying that. We had a great council work session with our council to really identify what are those key priorities that you want us to be focusing on as the administration arm of this organization. And that was brought about some great conversations from our city council, and we'll have an unveiling of that information as it relates to what are those key priorities that our council wants us to focus on. And we also have our mayor's vision that will be coming out as well. And we'll really be talking about how do we merge these things into a comprehensive strategy about how we move forward as an organization.
A city council can be challenging already, but 12 members, is that interesting to have that many partners there?
You know, it is interesting. You know, we have 12 people who all are passionate about this community. They're passionate about the communities that they represent. And it's all about how do we bring all these ideas, all these different platforms under one umbrella and under a common agenda. And one thing that I've always shared with our council is not about agreement, because we're not going to always agree on everything. That's the great thing about democracy.
Sure.
But what we want to strive for is alignment. Alignment on the direction of where we want this city to go. And I will say this without a shadow of doubt. We have 12 individuals that are passionate about this city and want to see this city successful in reaching its full potential. And I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
That's great. I got to ask you about one specific issue here. I'm going to ask you about the $100 million that frankly, nobody saw coming. That money in various parts of the Housing Bureau budget, it started at about $20 million and grew from there. Thankfully on the plus side of the ledger, so we appreciate that, but unaccounted for the most part, unexpected as well. What did you think when you first saw that happening?
You know, I saw it as a relic of our past. You know, when you look at the form of government we had from a commissioner form of government, we were a very siloed organization. The main central hub of the organization was not always aware of what was happening in the bureaus. So this is actually a benefit of the form of government that we're switching to, that we were able to have the communication between the bureaus and our central hub to be able to come to the realization that we have these money or these dollars that we could use towards other things. So when I look at this situation as a whole, it's a relic of our past, but it's also a benefit of the government that we moved to, that we could have the communication between the Bureau and our budget office to be able to say, hey, we have these additional funds, and what is the best way to bring this forward and have the conversation regarding how these funds should be expensed moving forward.
Right, because our former government, different commissioners had bureaus, and it was siloed, as you said.
Yes.
And now it's really on you. I hope you have a team to work with, because that's a big job.
Yes, we do, and we have a great team in the city of Portland, in our city administrator's office, in our central hub. And we've been going through this whole realignment work as an organization of pulling out these different aspects of our government that was siloed, from our HR, our finance, our IT, and bringing those in-house so we can have a better understanding what's overall happening within the city and have one voice from the city administrator standpoint.
Bringing you back to this $100 million, you ordered an outside look at Bureau's finances. Is that happening yet? And what do you hope to learn from that?
You know, I want to have lessons learned in this situation. What really got us to the point where we are to now, to why this situation presented itself, and how do we grow from this situation? Because, you know, these things happen in government at times, and not 106 million, hopefully, but this is not a bad situation where we thought fraud, waste, or abuse was happening within the organization. This was a situation we had money sitting in the pot, hoping to gain and look at future bigger projects, but we have a need out there today for people in the community who are unhoused, people who are on the verge of being unhoused, that we can help immediately today. And that's something that we're striving to do as an organization. How do we help people today, but also plan for tomorrow and at the same time?
As a news organization, obviously we want to get word out to people. How important is transparency on issues like this for Portlanders to have this information?
I think it's critical, and that's the number one thing that we have to strive for as a government agency is transparency. Transparency leads to trust in the community, and that's one of the reasons why, soon as we were aware of these dollars sitting there, we wanted to make sure that our elected body knew about it. We wanted to make sure the community was aware of that, and have a transparent conversation with our elected body about how do we move forward with these additional dollars to put those dollars into the hands of people who need them the most.
Terrific. You know, you're credited with leading a revitalization of Greeley, Colorado, when you were there as a city manager.
Yes.
What did you learn from that and working on the urban core there that you bring here, that you say downtown Portland can learn from that and can grow from that? And here are some ways that we can help Portland downtown become even better.
You know, one thing that I've learned since I've been in Portland, Portland is a city of communities and neighborhoods. People love their neighborhoods and their communities, and they always invite people to come to their neighborhood and experience what they experience in their neighborhood. And the main question that we're going to have to figure out regarding our main core, which is our downtown, how do we turn downtown into a neighborhood? How do we get more density in the downtown area, invite more businesses into the downtown area where people can feel they can live, work, and play in our downtown? And that's going to be the key part of our renaissance as a city, and really a renaissance of a core of our city, is increasing that density in the downtown where people see their downtown as their neighborhood, where they can do all the things that they enjoy doing in life and raising a family in our downtown area as well.
We have more visitors downtown, and that's good. The feet on the ground is great, but I hear what you're saying. It really becomes a core, a neighborhood, a place where people are living and working is so important.
It is essential for us. You know, downtown will be the heartbeat of our city, and how downtown goes will truly shape the future of our city and what our city will become. You know, I give the mayor a tremendous amount of kudos with trying to clean up our streets, not allowing anyone to die on the streets. That has been his motto, and that's the heart of giving. And that is something, if we truly buy into as a city, it will help turn the tides for us and us help marketing who we are as a city moving forward.
Well, we're getting low on time, but I want to ask you just, you know, as you've been here now for a little while.
Yes.
What have you found that you really like, just personally, not as the city administrator, but have you found our music scene or a food scene or the beauty of the place, or what?
I would say the food scene has been phenomenal.
It's pretty good.
It's been pretty good. You know, I always tell people I wish I could get out more. I've been so tied down to my desk in these first 2 months of just trying to figure out where things are and how operations are happening as a city, but I have not missed a meal. So I have making sure that I enjoy the food scenes and eateries of Portland, and they've been great.
Good. More to come on that for sure.
Yes.
Well, we really appreciate you being here. We'll have you back so we can learn more and see the progress that you're making as Portland City Administrator.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here and looking forward to our future.
Thanks so much, Raymond
Thank you.
Lee. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Mercy Corps joins us with a big announcement about the organization's future. Stay with us. Welcome back. For 40 plus years, Mercy Corps has been helping communities in crisis across the globe. Now the Portland-based humanitarian aid organization is ushering in a new chapter with an evolving mission and with a new name. Joining us today to talk about the organization's future, Mary Stata, Chief Development Officer for Mercy Corps. Stata leads Mercy Corps' global communications, marketing, and fundraising efforts. She joined Mercy Corps in 2017, bringing nearly 2 decades of experience spanning policy, philanthropy, and fundraising. Mary, thanks so much for being with us here on Straight Talk today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, on a big day too. And so the first question is a pretty obvious one. You know, we've known you all these years as Mercy Corps and connect that to the important work that you do. But that name is changing. Tell us what the new name is and when people will start to see it formally.
Sure. So our new name is Prosper Global. And we are going to be switching over to that name in the fall. But today we are announcing that this is going to be our new name moving forward.
Why was Prosper Global chosen? I know you did a lot of work to decide on this. What are the reasons, though, and kind of break it down for us?
Sure. Well, we are so proud of the work that we have done as Mercy Corps for the past 4+ decades. Work in crisis zones all around the world. And also, we, over the past 10 years, have really identified that our name was really increasingly at odds with our values, with how we were working in the world, and we're really keen to make sure that our identity and that our name is aligned with our purpose, who we are, what we do, for what we're doing now as well as into the future.
Can you describe for me what was the problem with Mercy Corps in that regard, and then how does this name kind of fix that?
Sure. So there were a number of challenges with the name Mercy Corps. We are a global organization with proud roots here in Portland, but also the name Mercy Corps is difficult to translate into lots of languages. It has had militaristic connotations, which has been challenging in different parts of the world where we work. We're not a faith-based organization. We believe that our values are universal, but the name has religious connotations. So there were a number of reasons why we felt like the name was increasingly not representing who we are.
Yeah, and Prosper Global opens it up, makes
Absolutely.
it more inclusive, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Prosper Global really speaks to our deeply held belief that we believe that every community, no matter where you live in the world, the circumstances you were born into, everyone deserves the opportunity to prosper.
Yeah. And while you were talking about that, we get to see a little bit of the logo. It's a whole different look, a whole different design than what we've been used to for so long. And that's, again, not official till September, but we're getting a look at it as we break this news today that this is happening. So Mercy Corps was founded here in Portland, still headquartered here, but your reach is across the globe. Why is Portland still a good place to be based for? And I'm still calling it Mercy Corps for now. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Why Portland still?
Sure. Well, again, we have a significant amount of supporters here in the Northwest, and we also know that the mission of our work clearly resonates with a lot of Portlanders who care deeply about what happens around the world and who believe that every person should be able to have the future that they want and that they deserve. And so those connections remain really important for us as an organization, but also increasingly being global in scope and, again, having a name that really can resonate very broadly as well.
As the need and the work grows, do the supporters grow as well? How's that going in terms of raising funds and to do the work that you do?
Sure, yeah. Well, we are absolutely living in a time of increased humanitarian need. There are over 300 million people in the world right now in urgent need of humanitarian assistance, and that number has more than doubled over the past 5 years. And it is incumbent upon us, we believe, as a global community to be ensuring that there are resources available for those in greatest need. And again, we're living in a world that is increasingly hotter, more divided, and one where our mission remains highly relevant. Certainly,
and that is a startling statistic to hear that we're at 300 million of those in need, doubling in the past
5 years.
Wow, that's really something. How has the humanitarian work changed? I know the evolution includes kind of really working on long-term solutions, not that you're not already doing that, but in terms of infrastructure and helping communities prosper for themselves in the end.
Sure. Well, Mercy Corps has always been committed to helping communities not only in the midst of immediate crisis, but also the day after. We stay. We are committed to ensuring that communities have access to what they need in the short, medium, and long term. And again, we have also been evolving our approach over the past years in particular, where we're increasingly acting as a partner and working through local partnerships. So rather than Mercy Corps directly implementing work, we are working with local partners who are close to the ground, who have those close relationships, and who can act very quickly.
Can you talk a little bit about the need out there in specific areas? I know you guys have been in Ukraine these years, and that's been a challenge. I did a story several years ago when that was first getting going. Where does that one stand?
Sure. Ukraine remains a really important crisis that we are committed to continuing to respond to as an organization. And we're doing so by equipping farmers to ensure that they can continue to be producing food in the midst of this war, as well as ensuring that small businesses can have access to the resources they need to be able to remain economic engines for these local communities.
And now past the 4-year mark with that war.
Yes.
Of course, Mercy Corps works to help people in countries facing conflict like that. And right now, the Middle East is really facing a lot of it, from Iran to Lebanon. Mercy Corps has joined more than a dozen other NGOs saying the fighting must stop. Tell us more about that message you put out earlier this month and what Mercy Corps is doing to help those affected in the Middle East right now.
Yeah, what's happening in the Middle East is it's absolutely an unfolding humanitarian crisis. And we are active in southern Lebanon at the moment, working with a local partner who is delivering hot meals to families who have been displaced by the violence and by the fighting. What we're also starting to see is the effects of this crisis go beyond the Middle East into Sudan, into Somalia. These are also countries that are being impacted by increased fuel prices, by scarcity for food. And this is now what we're really seeing as like the next impact of what's already impacting communities in Lebanon very directly, but there's definitely a broader ripple effect at play as well.
Yeah, because a global economic crisis like this affects people most in need in terms of being able to grow their crops, so the lack of fertilizer, not getting through those types of things. What about some of the other countries? Are you involved in any other countries, Iraq or any of the others that are in that general area?
We have had a presence in Iraq, and we are absolutely positioning for responding as the crisis continues to unfold.
Yeah. Talk about the scope of Mercy Corps, soon to be Prosper Global. How many people are involved in the organization, and what's the reach? Kind of give us the breakdown.
Sure, yeah. Well, we have about 3,500 staff globally, working in over 35 countries around the world, everywhere from the places we just discussed to also Colombia, Haiti, Indonesia. So it really is a very global team with a global footprint. The majority of our team members come from the countries where they work. So it's a diverse group for sure.
It seems obvious, but why is it so important to have people from the countries affected that are working with Mercy Corps to do the work?
It's essential to being effective. These are team members who are not only deeply committed to this work because this is where they're from, these are their communities, it's deeply personal for them, but also they speak the language, they have the relationships, they know how to be navigating these circumstances. And so having staff who are representative of where we work is essential to our impact as an organization.
Where are the biggest changes that you see that the work that you're doing? Is it in the infrastructure area, or where do you see the change happening?
There has been a significant amount of change over the past year as funding from the U.S. government dramatically decreased just over a year ago. And that has absolutely caused a significant crisis in the humanitarian system. The U.S. government used to be the primary provider globally of U.S. humanitarian assistance, and that changed very dramatically a year ago. And so that means that as the needs are growing, which we just discussed, that the resources overall have been decreasing.
So Mercy Corps now, Prosper Global, starting in September. What do you see as the future of the organization going forward, this organization that we're so proud of to have here based in Portland?
Yeah. We are optimistic about the future. And again, we see this evolution into this new identity really signaling a bold step forward for us as an organization, where again, we are leading with this conviction that we believe when every community can prosper, everyone moves forward. Yeah. It benefits everyone. And I think what we also see into the future is, again, an ongoing significant need for our mission. The crises aren't decreasing. They've only been increasing. The need is increasing. And so the relevance of our work remains stronger than ever.
Wow. Do you have hope that the U.S. government will get more involved in the future and come back to helping in these ways?
There's absolutely a need for us to be increasing the amount of resources available for this work.
Yeah. Mary Stata with Mercy Corps, thank you so much for joining us and talking about the name change to Prosper Global coming up this fall. Really exciting. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us today. A reminder, you can stream Straight Talk on your own schedule. Just download the free TV app, KGW Plus, available now on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. And we will see you back here on Straight Talk next week.